Allie is a beautiful, sweet turtle, but she got eaten by probably a raccoon. You can see that she doesn't have her paws anymore, but she was able to heal. She was able to survive by pulling in her head into her shell and all 4 of her legs, but she's fine now. She still has
adapted very well to that.
Yeah. And she's still able to get around and eat, and you can see that she's healthy,
She's got
she's
a good
strong.
attitude.
Another student asked about birth defects in turtles.
Yes, she did. This is a female, but that's as big as she's growing. Now, you could say, well, didn't she eat enough? Maybe. Was that in her genetics? Probably. But again, out in nature, she probably would not be alive now, because she just can't get around. But even her little feet in the back are club feet. But again, she gets around just fine. She's just, the others accept her. Now, someone asked a question about defects of like the shell and such.
Yes.
And yeah, sometimes that happens, not too often.
Yeah, what if a shell does get damaged?
Like, well, I'll show you Ellie again. See that? The scutes. These are scutes, the top layer of the shell, and they are made out of the same substance as our fingernails, keratin. Okay, getting back. This is probably where something has chewed on her. I don't know if it's another turtle or if it's a predator. It doesn't affect them really. I mean, they're probably scared at the time, but it doesn't affect their vitality any. But they adapt very easily, and that could be another reason why they have survived so long on this planet.
Right. They're just
the biggest problem now, like I said earlier, is they get poached or they get run over by automobiles. It's human related.
And so do turtles actually make good household pets?
I do not recommend it. I really don't, because especially to take one from the wild. If you would take a female from the wild, you are also taking away many, many offspring that would help repopulate that area. Now, a female out in the wild, she kind of considers her area to be about 1 square mile. Males will wander off more. They're more like 3 square miles. Somebody asked that question too.
How big is their habitat?
Yeah. Now, this certainly isn't 1 square mile in here.
No.
But they do get along just fine with each other.
Well, this brings me to another question, are they monogamous?
No.
You know, in the wild with a habitat that huge.
Well, this gets into the reproductive cycle. This is really fantastic.
Oh, tell me more.
Okay. Now, I've already said that in the spring, the females start looking for mates, and the males go out a little bit sooner and look for mates. And how often do you think they would find a mate, you know, with so few box turtles in an area?
Yeah.
So when they do find one, they're a lucky turtle.
Yeah.
Okay, Edison. She's made her shell. These 2 are males, okay? Let's see what the competition is. This one is also a female. It gets kind of confusing if you have more than 1 female for a male. But he's going to check it out.
She's very aware of him.
Very aware. He says. You mean I've got a choice?
Yeah.
Now, she's not being very cooperative. One thing, it might be the season.
So is that head bobbing that he's doing and trying to, like, yeah, he's trying to mount her now, right?
Right. He says, this really happened, so I'm going to go right to it.
That little looking at her.
Now, see how she's avoiding him? She's turning around in a circle.
Oh, now he's realizing he needs to court her a little bit
Yes.
more.
That's right. At least she's not completely in her shell.
Right, or running away from him.
Right.
Oh, so one of the questions was, do
Yeah.
turtles bite?
Yeah.
They do in the process of courtship. And wild turtles are more likely to bite than
They are.
domesticated turtles.
They are.
They will protect themselves. They can be fierce.
That's another thing I wanted to say. Somebody asked, can turtles bite and can it be serious?
Yeah.
Yes. You get an alligator snapping turtle, you can take off your fingers and your hand even. And they get to be pretty big too.
So do turtles make noises?
Well, yes, in that if they put their head in very quickly, you'll hear a hiss. And that's just the air in the trachea that's being expelled.
Yeah.
But Yoda, he makes a noise when he's getting amorous.
Yoda is your Russian tortoise.
My
Let's
Russian
compare your Russian tortoise to the box turtles. If you get bitten by a turtle or a tortoise, can you pick up a disease? Can they transmit a disease to you?
Yes, but not necessarily through their mouth. Just if you get feces on your hands, or especially concerned about salmonella, and that would be in the water turtles. And if a female human is pregnant, she should not be handling turtles. This is my tortoise. Does he look like Yoda, or does he look like Yoda? Hey.
Can we see his plastron and show that
Sure.
it does not have that hinge?
Okay. Here you go. Now it's straight across.
What habitat does a Russian tortoise usually live in?
Well, being a tortoise, the tortoises will live in a drier climate. Now, he doesn't hardly ever do I see him drink water.
Oh.
So I make sure that I leave some water on the lettuce or on his food, so he will get some water. This particular species is from Russia, China, and in that area where it is rather arid. Now, there are 4 main distinctions between the different species of turtles. There's the tortoises, there's the turtles, there are terrapins, and the terrapins live in brackish water.
And then the last
And
one?
then the other one is the sea turtles.
Okay. And so the sea turtles are, you call them turtles, and then the tortoises are terrestrial, and terrapins are water, but live
Right.
in the brackish water habitats. And then we have also box turtles, which are also terrestrial, but we call them box turtles. I think Yoda moved pretty fast. A lot of people think that turtles move slow.
Right.
And some people are surprised when they see a video of a turtle actually moving fast, and they're like, "Well, what's up with that?"
Well, turtles always seem to have a purpose for what they're doing. Now, with Yoda, he's just out there in the open. He's pretty vulnerable, and he usually likes to go underneath a plant or hide somewhere.
We've had some questions about what does a turtle do during the winter?
Good question. Well, as it gets cooler, they are cold-blooded. Exothermic.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they get slow down with the temperature. And so they'll go down at night, and if it's a warm day, they'll come back up again as they warm up. At the Denise.
So is that called hibernating or something else?
Well, no, it's not hibernating.
Aha.
It's brumating.
BRUMATING. Okay.
Got it. And the difference is that with brumating, they stay down all winter. They don't come up, and almost through the being lifeless.
Right.
A hibernate, that's what a bear does.
Okay.
If he sleeps lightly and he starts getting hungry, he'll go out and he'll get some berries or something and eat and come back and go back to sleep again.
Okay.
So that's the main difference there.
Wow. So brumating uses even less energy than hibernating does.
Oh yes, yes.
Wow. Okay.
Now, in the summertime, when it gets hot,
Yeah,
then the turtles will also bury down.
to stay cool. Yeah. What's the biggest turtle that you've ever seen with your own two eyes?
Well, a few years ago, my husband and I went to the Galapagos Islands. That was just a trip of a lifetime. They are huge. In fact, but they have a special product because they became almost and talking about shells again.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah, I want to tell the students that the shells do not come off the turtle. It's part of the carapace, that upper shell. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. It's not something that can be molted off like a crustacean or an insect.
No.
Yeah. The shell is a modified spine and ribs, right?
Yeah. It's
So-
come out from the spine and it's
Yeah.
grown. And this probably took millions of years in their evolution to develop that
Yeah.
part of the shell.
And then it's overlaid with the same material like our fingernails
right.
are.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
And underneath the scutes, it's a bone.
it's bone. Yeah. Shells are just amazing.
Yeah, they are.
It's an
Turtles
amazing
are
adaptation. Can we go into water turtles?
Sure.
And so, because some people were fascinated by water turtles, where they know that they can travel, they can go far distances to go to where they were hatched to lay their eggs,
Okay, we're
and
talking
then
about-
the eggs hatch and they never see their moms ever again.
This is sea turtles.
These are sea turtles.
Yes.
These are sea turtles.
There are no turtles. They very different than land turtles or any other type of turtles.
Mm-hmm.
But yet there are the similarities. They can navigate thousands of miles. They can fall.
But it's absolutely amazing. And then, do sea turtles have teeth? How do they eat?
No, turtles do not have teeth.
Nobody has. Yeah.
No. But they do have very sharp jaws.
Now, this brings me to another question: is how long can a female turtle, box turtle,
Be fertile?
be fertile?
Yes. This is really amazing. Well, like I said earlier, you're in the forest, you're walking around, and how often would you find a turtle of the opposite sex?
Right.
So when they do find a mate, they better, make good use of it. And they do. The females can be fertile for 4 years after mating.
They can hold sperm for
They
4
can
years,
hold- Yes.
and the sperm is still viable.
Yes.
Oh my goodness! And how many years of their adult lives can a female still make eggs?
Up until the time she dies.
Wow.
And she could be 100 years old.
She could be.
Box
Okay.
turtles will live to be about 100 years old.
Okay. I'm sorry, going back to sea turtles.
Uh-huh.
After they lay their eggs, do they die?
Oh no. They can live to be, I don't think it's 100 years old. I'd say 50 to 60 years old.
Okay.
And if they lay their eggs every year.
One of our students asked, what's the purpose of why turtles can actually run fast?
Well,
If they have their shell, do they need to?
I think I'd run to get to protection.
Yeah, well, we kind of saw that with
We saw-
Edison
yeah,
here.
with Edison, if there's a mate waiting there. We saw it just here with Yoda. He was riding towards those flowers over there.
Now, what is the most interesting thing about turtles to you?
I think it is the way that they interact with me. I talk to them and they'll come up to me and they'll look up at me. And that is very satisfying to me. And that's what I call passion.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much.
You're quite
Appreciate
welcome. Thank you for coming over.
It has been a pleasure.